Hello.
Hello.
Welcome, Josh. Welcome. So the podcast is called Pommin Around.
Okay.
Yes, and you're my first guest.
Wow.
So congratulations.
Thank you. I feel honored.
You should be. You should be. But yeah, the podcast, as I said before, this is about my move from France to Australia. You did the opposite.
I did.
You are Australian and you moved to France. That's where I saw you for the first time, was in France, in Paris.
Yes.
You were performing at Comedy Lab.
Yes.
Yes. I don't think I introduced myself to you then. Or maybe I did. I don't remember.
Actually, I was performing. Yeah, you were just in the crowd.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I wasn't performing that night. I was going through like a tough period.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to go see some comedy.
Wow.
Just to get inspired, forget about my problems. And I saw you and I thought you were very funny.
Thank you.
And you're just so like energetic. Like I think people just like immediately liked you.
Wow.
When you're on stage. And I'm drawn to those people in some ways. But yeah, no, it's a compliment. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take it. I'll write it down.
You
I'll put it for my show.
But you know this, right?
I know I have a lot of energy. Yeah.
Yes.
And I use it on stage.
Yeah.
That's why I actually liked hosting. I think
Oh, really?
I was good at hosting because I don't care to just come on and be like, wah!
Yeah, I'll say. And also, like, you're a very likable person.
Mm.
I think people just enjoy the show a little bit more.
Yeah.
When you're likable.
It's true. It's sad, but it's true.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't even have to be that funny if you can just like inject some energy into the
Exactly.
crowd.
Yeah. Because people will just believe in you a little bit more because you're just so confident than if you're just really funny but like timid.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's true.
Have you always been like very energetic or?
I've always had a lot of energy, but I wasn't necessarily always confident.
Mm.
I was pretty shy as a kid.
Oh, really?
When I was really little.
Okay.
But then once I got warmed up,
yeah,
I wouldn't shut up.
Okay.
And I had a lot of energy.
Okay.
So I think the confidence in front of others was something I had to develop.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like I was the opposite where like I was really confident when I was a kid. And then gradually, especially through the teenage years, with like judgment, I just lost my confidence. But then afterwards with stand-up, it's brought it back again.
Mm.
But yeah, there was a period where I was like, I wasn't the kid I was once before. Because my parents would talk about me as a kid, like being like, you were just so confident that you'll speak to people all the time. Or just go up to people, randoms, and just like, bring up a conversation.
Yeah.
And I don't have that anymore, maybe. Well, I do a little bit, but not as much.
You lost it.
I lost it. But I was it's coming back.
Yeah, stand-up helps.
Yeah, exactly.
If you let it, it can help you.
Yeah, exactly.
Get confident.
Okay, so did you start in Paris or did you start here in Australia?
It was literally 2 years ago from like this point in time. I had done a lot of improv.
Okay, yeah.
And was working office jobs. And then I went to some this girl from my work had a friend who did comedy and did sketches. And she's like, you should go talk to her because like she does sketches and improv and stuff. And she invited me to this girl's birthday roast.
Yeah, okay.
And I went to her roast and I had never met her.
Yeah.
And it was pretty awkward because like she just got like a lot of male comedians and they pretty much all just slut shamed her.
Oh, really?
Like they were all very one note jokes. So I didn't even think was that true. I was like, so I was kind of like, this girl just got like slaughtered for seemingly no reason.
Was she enjoying it at least? Was she
I think
laughing?
she liked it. I think she was like, that's part of her persona, maybe, which is maybe why they had a lot of those jokes.
Interesting. Yeah, it's always, I had a roast before I left France.
Yeah.
And there were a few people that I did not know, like they weren't friends, they weren't work colleagues that came. And it must be weird for them watching somebody just get pulverized.
I think so.
By other strangers.
Especially because when you don't know anyone is like I feel like when they do it with celebrities, people tend to know, there's jokes that the general populace watching understands. But when you're so out of the loop, it's like, is this true about them?
Yeah, exactly.
Is that funny?
Exactly, yeah. And sometimes it's like inside jokes that none of other people get.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay,
definitely. I think there was a lot of that night. Like a lot of the comedians on stage were laughing and everyone else in the audience was like, I don't get it.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, then that night had a drink. Like it was a bar as well. It's a big pub in South Melbourne.
Okay.
And went down and I was talking to this guy and he's like, do you do comedy? And I was like, I've actually always kind of thought of it, but I've never done it.
Yeah.
He's like, you should do it. They do a stand-up course here if you're like too scared.
Okay.
And the guy who hosted the stand-up course was there randomly and I did it. And so I did that for 4 days and then I got to perform.
Okay.
And then I tried it again in Melbourne like 2 months later, but it was an open mic gong show. And it went well for me, but I still was like, I hated that. That was a horrible environment. All the people doing it, I just felt like the room felt like horribly anxious and like negative. And I was like, I don't like this at all. I've worked really hard to get like positive. I used to kind of, as a teenager, was pretty like depressed and sarcastic.
Yeah.
And I was like, I've kind of grown out of that and it's not something I want to go back to.
Yeah, I see, yeah.
And so I gave it up for I just didn't do it again for like 7-8 months.
Oh, really? Okay.
And then I was in Sydney for 2 months and my friend had sent me, there was like an amateur open like comedy night that some guy was running near where I was staying. So I was like, oh, and I had kept running into people in the street in Melbourne. They were like, are you still doing comedy? And I was like, no. And they were like, why not? And I was like, I want to do acting. And then, but all these, I kind of felt like everywhere I turned, someone was like, are you still doing comedy? And I was like, why do did you not fucking hear me? I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And then I tried it again twice in Sydney. I was like, And then I moved to Paris. And it was after a few months in Paris. I actually did some auditions for theatre while I was there.
Yeah.
And every time I ended up just being like, I need to do me. And I did me for these auditions in the same week.
Okay.
And it was like kind of absurd and strange and weird and funny.
Okay.
And afterwards they were all like, you're not very good for this role, but like, you should do like one-man shows or like comedy.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh, for fuck's sake, fine. And after I did this weird thing where I had to dance. It was like a audition where they wanted you to sing and I can't sing. So I was like, I'm going to dance instead. And I did Sweet Transvestite from Rocky Horror Picture Show, which is so camp.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't sing. I'm just going to show off my dance skills because I had to be from a theatre show. So I had to a cappella in this huge squeaky hall in Paris to like 3 people in this huge room spread out, like sing and dance that. And they were just like, I could tell they were like horrified, but also really like, wow, this is insane. Nice. And afterwards I left that and I kind of laughed to myself on the street of like, I can't believe I just did that.
Yeah.
And I can do and I signed up for an open mic that week. Yeah. And then I just started, I was like, I need to just do stand up more. And force myself. I kind of looked at it as like, you know, when a kid doesn't want to swim, but you're like, it's good for you.
Yeah.
I was like, this is good for you. And you're going to get scared at some points because you're going to think it's not for you. And like, a lot of the comedians are like me.
Is that what you're feeling?
I think that's what I realized I was feeling is like, and I was trying to do kind of dry punchlines and I was like, I don't find it funny myself. And then I kind of had the click of like, after doing it for 2 months in Paris, I went traveling for like 2 months. And then when I was coming back to Paris, I was like, wait, I know exactly what I need to do. I kind of done it a little in those few months when I was doing it in Paris, of like bringing more of myself and what I actually like into it. And then once I started doing that more, I really enjoyed it. And I got better and I could tell I was getting booked more because it was like more natural. Yeah,
more natural. And also it's very different because the stand-up scene in Paris is very small. Like it's only new. It's only like maybe 10 years, 12 years old. Yeah. So there's not much like sketch or clowning. No. Now it's becoming a little bit. It's starting to grow. There's a few, Donna and Noah, Melina, they're starting to grow that, to expand it. But yeah, it was very new. So like when I first started doing stand-up in Paris, it was just more like jokes. Yeah. And before that, it was more jokes about Paris and Parisians. Yeah. And but yeah, it was nothing very, very theatrical or absurd. Yeah. More observational.
Definitely.
But they are bringing something new.
It's kind of, and it's strange because they have all the, like I started doing some of the alt comedy nights.
Yeah, how was that?
It was fun. I loved it.
Okay.
I think that really opened up something for me the first night. Yeah. It was actually one night I did it at just a standard open mic at Le Kiblet.
Oh, okay.
And at Blast Off. And I was like, I'm sick of telling the same jokes to the same 5 guys. And I was like, and getting blank faces because they just don't care. Yeah, exactly. And I was like, I'm going to do something fucking weird because I'm over it. And
I was probably one of those 5 guys.
Not at that time, but like at some points maybe. But, and I just did this strange character and it did well, and I felt like, wow, that was fun. That was fun to do.
Yeah.
And then I did an alt night, and I did it again, like more ridiculously. And it kind of like I danced to Scatman in a nappy on stage.
Really?
Yeah, because the double meaning of scat. And,
Yeah.
and as like some awkward French man who then does drugs and goes to the club and then reveals that he's like a freaky little scat man. And it felt so freeing. I felt like, wow, after dancing in a nappy on stage, and it was like, this isn't like, the music isn't very loud. You can see all the people. The lighting isn't like great. And so it's kind of like, you're very obviously aware of what's going on.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of helped me a lot. And I was like, yeah, it's strange because there's so many, now that I've been back in Melbourne too, there's a lot of people who have done the clowning schools there who are here doing comedy.
Yeah.
And it means there's a lot of alt comedy here, surprisingly.
You did Elsa's workshop. How was that?
It was really good. Yeah. I did this clown workshop just literally the past 2 days.
Yeah.
And
what was it called? Just because I did a workshop with her in Adelaide.
Actually, I can't remember what it's called. Clowning in the Five Senses, maybe.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Maybe.
Because I know she has
a few.
Yeah, she has a few. I think I did Introduction into Clowning.
Yeah. I wonder if it was that. Maybe it was that.
Yeah, because I know she has one about animals as well.
Okay. Maybe I did the same one as you. It could have been, I don't know if we would have done the same exercises.
Yeah, probably. What did you do?
We did the hand exercise.
Yeah, you have to look at your hands
Yeah.
and like move and then find somebody else's hands.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so maybe we did. And then yesterday is what I can remember better.
Maybe she just has the same workshop, just change the name.
Yeah. I think so. It could be. I mean, it's probably the same exercises. There's only so many exercises you can teach people in like a short, for the people who do like a whole year intensive of clowning and get beaten down. But then and it can be kind of confronting. I even felt so exhausted after Saturday.
Yeah, it is.
Of like, because you get told exactly how you come across.
And she's very honest. That's what I liked about her. She was like
really
very
good.
direct.
She's very direct, but still like actually kind.
Yeah.
Which I think sometimes, from what I heard from clowning, people, it's just very honest.
Yeah.
And she had like an edge of like, which I think is helpful too, because you don't often get that direct feedback.
Yeah.
Of specifics. Sometimes you just get, don't like it, but you don't get just more how you're coming across to people.
Yeah, exactly.
And what you can get better at being comfortable with.
Exactly. And what did you learn anything about yourself? Like
she kind of, when I had to come out, the first exercise, you just have to come out and stand there for like the first few minutes and like just take in the crowd.
Yeah.
And I started turning to like imitating them. And she said like when people would laugh, I would shut it down.
Yeah, okay.
And she's like, are you not comfortable with receiving praise?
Oh,
and I was
really?
like,
like a therapy lesson.
Yeah.
You know?
And then she asked about childhood and school and said I get really defensive when I feel like people are laughing at me or I get defensive with the silence. And I thought that's kind of interesting. She's like, this isn't stand up. You don't have to come on and prove your dominance to the crowd.
Okay, yeah.
And I was like, I guess there's an element of that in stand up when I think I have felt inside, you know, you need to come out and prove how confident and bold you are so that no one like jumps at you.
Yeah. No one attacks you. Yeah.
And I think it was like where I grew up was really rough, and a lot
really?
of most of my family was just like blokes who who are like not like I was.
Yeah.
And I felt really out of place and mocked, I think, in that environment
really?
growing up, and I really was desperate to leave. And I think that has come up in it was funny because it's the only feeling I've ever had that is like when I've done gong shows or competitions.
Yeah, you felt that.
Some defensiveness towards like rowdy blokes to be like, fuck off.
Yeah.
And I think that's what came up again. And so it was interesting for me to be like, yeah, there's some lack of comfortability with being seen properly, you know, which I think everyone has, is like trying to control how we're seen a little more.
Exactly, yeah.
Instead of just showing which is what clowning is, you have to show those softer bits.
Yeah.
And I think I'm good at showing it in a certain way, but in a way, like, I don't know,
but you're still kind of
bright
controlling
energy and like coming across confident as opposed to, that softer just facing the audience and letting it develop without you steering it or trying to do one-liners to make it yours.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So that was interesting.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I want to get more into like clowning.
Yeah.
But when I did the workshop, she said that I had like that I'm like naturally funny.
Yeah.
In the sense that like I didn't have to like do much.
Yeah.
Like I would just like, for example, there was an exercise and you had to pretend to be like a rocket.
Oh yeah.
But before doing a rocket, you have to walk on stage and present yourself.
Yeah.
And just be like, "Hello, my name is Alex, and I'm gonna be a rocket."
Yeah.
And just by saying that, I'd get a laugh. And that at first I was like really confused by it because I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't trying to be funny because you always have people, and she noticed this and she would tell people off if you're trying to be funny.
Yeah.
And I was just being myself, just being like, "Hello, my name is Alex," and she would always laugh, and she'll just be like, "Oh, you have like so like you're just innocent, like we believe you when you said that," and I was like, "Oh, I didn't realize that about me."
Yeah.
That I'm just like this. Yeah, I don't know. It comes up to my mind from time to time. I'm trying to analyze that.
Yeah.
Like why people were laughing just when I was presenting myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know it's good things that's what you're saying is like keep recording yourself when you perform and see when people laugh.
Yeah,
because it might be something just about you and you need to accept it and like own it.
Exactly, yes. That's what I need to learn. I need to learn to accept it and earn it.
Yeah.
That just by being me, I make people laugh.
Yeah.
Because I'm a bit like you where like I'm more of a one-liner punch, like a kind of guy, like trying to write a clever written joke. That's my kind of comedy. And I feel like I always have to try and like outsmart the audience with my clever jokes.
Yeah.
And I realized that maybe I don't have to do that. That I could just be me or be silly.
Yeah, I think
and get a laugh like that, and people would like it more.
Sometimes I think it's like we can get so caught up in. I have two of like it needs to be the twistiest, sharpest joke, but people really just want to laugh.
Exactly,
they just want to have fun. So it's like
exactly
when you can use whatever makes them laugh, even if it's silly. It's like getting comfortable with being like. It all works. It all doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, true that.
It's more for the other comedians sometimes that I think we're trying to be the smartest. Like,
maybe.
They're the ones who are judging that more than the general audience, I would say.
Yeah, you kind of want to be like a comedian where...
But it doesn't matter. I guess it gets you booked, but it doesn't necessarily. Not really, because the crowd has to really
I think the crowd has the most power in that situation because if you're a killer...
Yeah.
Who cares what you're? Who cares if the comedians like you? As long as you bring people in and they're enjoying it. Yeah,
it's true.
But it is true. Well, like when you're especially at open mics, because it's mostly comedians in the audience.
That's why you don't always know what's working.
Yeah,
because it can just be like, the other comedians. I had that sometimes at certain open mics, and like people weren't liking, but then that stuff would really work with audiences. Yeah, like it really depends sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I think sometimes comedians can be a little jealous, you know?
Yeah.
Like if they see something different.
Yeah.
Like I know I'm a little bit like that where if I see something different, I'm like, oh, what's this? Like I'm not necessarily laughing. Like I feel like you're a big laugher.
Yeah. I am a big laugher.
You like enjoy, like when you see something different, you enjoy it, you embrace it.
Yeah.
Whereas, I don't know, I'm a bit more kind of like, if I see something different on stage, I'm like, oh, I'm more curious.
Yeah. I think that's true. I think that's what I had found mostly from other comedians at open mics is when I'm doing something different.
Yeah.
They're kind of like, and even if afterwards they're like, that was kind of funny, they weren't laughing. They were just like,
exactly.
watching me like, what?
Yeah,
what is
exactly.
he doing?
Yeah.
And so you don't know. Whereas I think I am actually really, even the clowning, I love the strange different stuff. And I feel like I notice in myself, even in the clowning class, that I laugh like loudly at when I find something funny.
Yeah, I remember when I took you to the feminist trash.
Yeah.
I think you were like one of the first people to laugh.
Yeah.
And I noticed it because I was like, okay, good. He likes the show.
Yeah.
But yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
And you went to see Elsa's solo, right?
Yeah.
And what did you think of it?
It was so good. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I saw it.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I thought it was really good.
Yeah, I
think
really
it's my favorite
it.
I've seen.
Really?
Because it's just like, I don't know, it had the clown elements, but it was really tight and professional and like.
You can kind of tell it was very professional.
You can tell. It's like so sharply construct like every element, and just how she can mime a scene of multiple people, and it's almost like you're not clocking, it's just her.
Yeah.
Like she sweeps you up in the story of each person so quickly.
That is true. Like I'm just thinking about the scene where she's doing like the
windmill.
I'm talking about the mythical.
Oh yeah.
Where she's talking about the Minotaur. I think there's
Minotaur. Yes, and Medusa.
And Medusa, yeah. And it's just true. Like when I'm thinking back on it, I see like 5 different people.
Yeah.
But there was only one person on stage.
Yeah.
But in my head, I see. Yeah, it is crazy how.
It's really impressive. Yeah.
What I found really funny is like during the workshop, she would always be like, "Oh, Philippe at Gaulier would always say."
Yeah.
She would always say that. She would always reference the Gaulier school in Paris and this guy called Philippe. Like, oh, Philippe.
She didn't do it as much, but I've had teachers like that. Like, I did a Meisner, it's just like an acting technique.
Yeah.
And it's the same. The teacher's always referencing like Sanford Meisner, he used to say.
Yeah.
Like,
okay, yeah.
Cool.
Gaulier. And she'll say it with a French accent.
Gaulier.
Gaulier. Yeah. Awesome. Nice. And so have you seen any other shows?
I've seen so many shows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mostly clowning?
Actually, yeah, randomly. I haven't seen any just straight up stand up.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can sit through. I found this that I was here 2 years ago and I was working for Time Out and I went to a lot of stand up.
Mm.
I find it really hard to sit through an hour of straight up stand up.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
I think. Although I'm seeing, but I don't think she does stand up either. There's a girl called Eloise Eftos.
Yeah, I've seen
Australia's attractive comedian.
Yeah.
But I don't think she does just straight up stand up either.
No, she can do a little bit. She does a little bit of sketch comedy.
Yeah.
Where she'll play like a character.
Mm.
You should definitely see it.
Yeah, I'm seeing it Thursday.
It's really good.
Yeah.
It's yeah, I know her. I worked with her. Like I booked her on a few shows, and she's really nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like she has a great crowd work moment. You'll see.
Yeah.
And I was like, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And also she has like little games.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like that.
And you have your own show.
Yes, I do.
And you have 2 shows, right? You're doing one tomorrow.
I have one tomorrow night. I'm hosting like a cabaret variety show.
Okay. Is it like Easter Bunny themed? Like
yeah, it's Easter themed because I was doing them in Paris, and we did like a Christmas themed and a Valentine's themed.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Which is somewhat childish, but it gets people really into it. And I do find it gives the acts, even for myself, when you have, I don't know, some form of parameters, it makes you get more specific about what you do.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're going to see because it's the first one being back in Melbourne and the comedy festival's on that I was just like.
How was it back in Paris when you did the Christmas one? Because I saw on the Instagram you were dressed as like the Grinch.
Yeah, I was the Grinch in that. It was really good. Both nights were really fun. Like the crowd so got on board.
Yeah.
And it was fun though hosting with my friend Brittany, like we were doing it together.
Yeah.
And that's what I realized here I'm doing it alone. Whereas we would always establish like a dynamic between the hosts.
Okay. Yeah, but where did I've never met Brittany.
Yeah.
Or how did you meet her? Was she your friend?
We were working on a film together in the summer.
Okay.
Because she had done a lot of acting too. And then it was like through this acting teacher I had, and then she also joined that same class afterwards. And so she had more like theatre background and musical theatre and acting. And that's why we kind of combined it because we were going to a lot of English speaking theatre shows and things in Paris as well as comedy.
Yeah.
And we were both like, no one's doing themed, glitzy, like, I don't know. The hosts aren't getting in character. And we just want something like that.
Yeah, I wonder if they do it in French. I don't think even.
I don't think no, because I don't even think I've seen this in French. Like cabaret in Paris is a bit more serious.
Yeah,
this is really like campy.
Yeah,
I'd say this is more American what we were doing. It's not even like
maybe
like the style of it.
I wonder why. Do you think it's because it's like French, like of like judgment? Like
I think it seems like cheesy and corny and classless.
Yeah, exactly.
doing these things to them. It's more, or like sophisticated clowning that's deeper. That's what they like. Whereas this was just nonsense. We were just like, this one's silly nonsense.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want anything to be serious. I don't care. I don't.
Yeah.
Just for one night, that's just like whatever.
And did you enjoy doing it?
Yeah, it was so much fun.
Yeah,
it was the most fun. Awesome. Both nights doing it.
Don't you get stressed before, like, oh, I have to put on like a good show?
No.
Or you just know that I'm just gonna be silly. I think I can either enjoy it or hate it.
Yeah, I think it just kind of helped. I was doing a lot in all the stuff I was doing in Paris.
Yeah,
just made me build up a lot of resilience of I'm doing my thing, it's different.
Yeah.
And the more I would do it, the more fun I would have.
And the more different it is,
Yeah.
people would like enjoy it because they've never seen that before.
And I would get in my head to start with about like, oh, they're going to like it. And then I was like, you literally can't worry about that. You just have to, am I going to like it? And then I started realizing the more I focused on that, then people were liking it in general more because it was ridiculous. And you're letting yourself be silly. And sometimes that's all people really want is like, when you get up there and be really silly, it kind of gives them permission to let go a little.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
Even I found that in the cabaret shows is like the crowd never seemed too like scared of us because it was all a bit like, you know, it didn't seem aggressive or scary, I think. But both nights were really fun. And I feel like all the performers really got into it too. It was just like fun nights.
Okay, awesome. And so tomorrow's show, you're just hosting it?
Yeah, I'm hosting it and doing a bit in the middle.
Okay.
I'm hosting as the Easter Bunny.
That's
and it's the same. Everyone's like got the task of adding Easter somehow to their act.
How did you prepare for that? Are you just going to go in like...
I have like bits. Like when I did the Grinch and then I did Cupid for the Valentine's show.
Yeah.
And essentially... I used like bits of stand-up jokes that I knew worked, but then just twisted them to make them Grinchy.
Yeah, I see.
Like the Grinch telling the story. And I've done the same with this. It's like there's new bits, but there's also bits I know that I've done that I just turned into this perspective of the Easter Bunny character. And and just choreograph some dance numbers for it as well that I'm going to do. Because every show we've started with a dance routine. So it's like, it gets the energy up.
Oh, yeah, directly, yeah. Yeah, that just changed the whole show.
Definitely.
Because it's not just one person just... It's like with a Feminist Trash.
Yeah.
When they came on stage, they started dancing and it just brings the mood.
It sets a mood and for me it's important because I bring a lot of energy when I perform and I feel like it gets the crowd up already with me and a bit more on board.
Yeah.
I've found. I even started trying to do that when I was hosting different places is like play some funky music so I can come in dancing so that people get it gives an impression of what they're going to expect, I guess.
Yeah, I see. Okay, awesome. And you have your own solo show?
Yes.
How many days are you doing of that?
I'm doing 6 nights.
6 nights?
Yeah.
In a row?
Yep, in a row. From next Tuesday.
Are you excited?
Yeah, actually I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
I think I'm more excited for that. I shouldn't say that, but for tomorrow night, because tomorrow night I feel like it's been harder to promote and plan for just because there's so many people and I've just come back to Melbourne.
Yeah.
And it's amongst the comedy festival.
Yeah.
Whereas the solo show has felt, I don't know, maybe, I don't know what it is. Something about it has been easier. And I guess maybe because it's just me doing it that I know I'm like, I know all the bits that I'm doing.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And I'm excited to put them all together.
Yeah.
And the same, there's dance in that.
Yeah, of course.
And the camp characters and silliness.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
And what made you want to I haven't done a solo show. I'm planning on doing it next year. What made you want to start it?
I think having organized these cabaret shows and hosting and some of the theater groups we work with, I hosted one of their nights. And I was coming back to Australia and I was just like, you know what? All of this has taught me when you lock it in, you have it done by the time the day comes around.
Yeah.
Because you have to.
Yeah.
And I thought I would probably kick myself more if I came back to, and especially I know Melbourne, it's not like I have to get used to it again.
Yeah.
And I didn't put it on. And I had actually applied to work in the marketing team for the festival.
Okay.
And that's kind of what convinced me to book my flight. Because I was like, I'm probably going to get this. And then I can see so much comedy.
Exactly.
And then I didn't get that. And I thought, all that work I was going to dedicate towards that. Yeah. Why don't I put all that marketing experience? Because I already have experience in marketing, towards putting on my own thing.
Yeah. Okay.
And I thought it'd be really good experience too, because I knew I haven't been in Melbourne for a long time, so I'm going to have to hustle to get people in.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is going to force me. I kind of wrote down all the things I'm going to have to do before I came back to Melbourne, because I'm like, I know I'll talk myself out of it once I'm here.
I guess.
But I was like, I need to go out on a flyer. I need to dance in the street. I need to be silly. I need to make stupid videos every day.
Yeah.
I'm going to force myself to make a video every day on Instagram, which
I've
wasn't
been
doing.
Yeah.
And it's made it grow. Everything's been growing.
I've noticed your followers have been going up.
It's strange.
And plus, your views are getting at least 1,000 views.
Yeah. It's really boosted. And at first I had little voices being like, who are you doing this?
Yeah.
Like, what does this matter? You just posting the same people.
Yeah.
Bullshit. Who cares? And then I was like, no. I'm forcing myself to post every day as a thing.
Yeah.
And it started working. And same with, I went out flyering. Don't know how many ticket sales I got, but I got a lot of people interested.
Yeah.
And because I bought a speaker and I was just dancing in an I Love Paris shirt, handing out flyers.
Yeah. And you filmed that as well.
Yeah.
That's funny.
And so, yeah, and kind of all of that has helped a lot. And so that's why I'm like glad I've done it, because no matter what, it's really forced me to get out there.
Yeah. Yeah. I see.
More than I was doing before.
Mm.
And I was like, it's kind of a good way to just get your face in the network too, because I'm sure a lot of comedians in Melbourne who have never seen me are like, who the fuck
Yeah,
is
of course,
this
yeah.
weird? Who's this Australian?
Yeah.
Who does he think he is?
Yeah.
What's going on? Where did he come from?
Yeah.
Why is he just everywhere?
Yeah, that's
So
yeah, you
it's
just
kind
have
of
to put
helped.
yourself out
You just
there.
have to, yeah.
You just have to do it.
We all know it, but it's hard to do it sometimes.
Yeah.
So this deadline has helped me just like do it.
Yeah.
Mm.
I'm planning, like I said, I'm on to do my my solo show next year, and that's what I'll have to do.
If you're here in October, you could do the Melbourne Fringe.
There's Melbourne Fringe.
There's a Melbourne Fringe in October.
Are you gonna do it?
Probably if I'm here. I'm just currently figuring out what I'm doing for the rest of the year.
Because you don't know. You don't know if you're gonna go back to.
Yeah, I kind of want to do Edinburgh Fringe.
Edinburgh Fringe, yeah.
Which I'm trying to book in now.
Yeah, I heard that's a whole different game.
Yeah, I know. It sounds insane, but I was like, oh, you got to try it once and then you'll get better at it.
Yeah, it's so funny how like Edinburgh is just known for that.
Yeah,
like it's known for historically for loads of things, but it's just like
the Fringe.
But the Fringe over there is like,
yeah. All UK comedians go.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, international. Everyone goes there.
Yeah.
Even not to stand up comedy, like.
Yeah, it's everything.
Yeah, so you're gonna do your show there.
Yeah, that's the plan. Is like because I would have already done it. Go do the same show there.
And it's called Joshy in Paris.
Yeah.
And it's about.
Is
it you playing the French guy from your Instagram?
No, but that comes in.
Okay.
That just seems to be doing well. So,
yes.
And if living in France has given me anything, it's being able to impersonate a French person. Sorry, guys.
There's a lot of like caricature people.
Yeah, it's not even a real person. It's really like a clown, essentially. It's a clowny character that I've performed as well, in Paris and then here.
I was told, because when I first came to Australia and working with the comedians, and I'll tell them I'm French. They would always be like, "Oh, you don't sound French," and I'll be like, I was also grew up in English, and they'll tell me about this British comedian who would play a French character. Yeah, Marcel Dupont.
Lucon.
Yeah. Have you watched his?
Someone only told me about him 2 days ago because I've been doing like French stuff, and I was like, "Is he?" And then I just briefly Googled who. I didn't see all of it, but yeah, he seems to have made success.
Yeah, like
being barefoot as a French person.
Exactly. Yeah, he does. He's not even French, but
that's crazy.
He just plays this French character, and people love it.
It's so funny to me that one thing I have realized is all the accents you are not allowed to impersonate and make fun of, but French people are fair game to the whole world.
That is true.
And I'm like, it's kind of unfair, but it's like, why? And I even had the thought, like, you could make fun of you could impersonate a Spanish accent, but if you did a Mexican one, that could be a problem.
Yeah, it is true. Why?
And I'm like, it's the same language.
Yeah.
Same as if I was doing a French accent, it's fine. But if you did like an African French accent, that'd not be okay. And it's because I guess it's like punching up because like they're Western powers historically.
Historically, yeah, of course.
But I'm like, maybe in the future, if France becomes a persecuted people,
maybe
they're gonna go back and they're gonna cancel me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I've been making fun of them.
You did white face.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, you did French face.
Yeah, French face.
Frog face.
Yeah, Parisian face. That'd be funny.
So yeah.
Yeah. But awesome, and it's
Yeah, but the show is a mix of it's kind of stand up in it. A lot of my stand up storytelling anyway with punchlines.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of storytelling. Like really getting into all the elements of the story, like acting it out and stuff at times with music and characters. So there's this French character and then also this like bogan, this like dirty Australian uncle kind of character that it's kind of like the men I grew up around. And then it's more a tale of moving to Paris, but it's all exaggerated and very theatrical. It's essentially just crafting a story. A lot of it happened to me, but it's just kind of giving it being in Paris gives it like a storyline.
Yeah, okay.
That I can wrap up all the bits in.
Do you have like a setting, like scenery, like the Eiffel Tower?
Not really, because the stage doesn't. I'm still actually deciding what I can practically, because we have 15 minutes before and after to set up the space.
Yeah.
What I can practically turn to transform it into France. That's what I'm currently still deciding.
Okay, yeah. But you know, like it's the first run. Like
exactly.
You could do it next year or
Yeah.
during Edinburgh or the Melbourne Fringe.
Definitely.
Yeah, and how is the process of like registering your show on these websites? Is it
Melbourne?
Yeah.
For Melbourne, I actually missed registration.
Okay.
And I emailed them and they let me register.
Oh, that's kind.
And then you just had to pay an amount. I think it was an extra $100 if you're not Australian or from New Zealand. And that's all you had to do. And then you're registered and you're on the website. As long as you have a venue. So I had to get the venue first.
Yeah.
And
that's the difference from like Australia to France. If that was in France, they would be like, no, fuck off.
Like,
trop tard.
Yeah. No. Like 1 minute later, they're like, mais c'est ça, c'est comme ça.
Yeah. And here in Australia, they're like, yeah, of course, okay, you missed the deadline, but just pay an extra whatever.
That's one thing I really missed. Actually, towards the end in France, I already knew it. I had lived there when I was in uni, and I kind of knew what to expect.
Okay.
And I don't think all French people in Parisians are rude. Like, there tends to be that idea, but like I also think like there's something nice about Paris that people leave you alone a little more than in like English-speaking cultures where we're a bit more like, hey, how's it going? Sometimes you're just like, shut up.
Yeah, like if you're sitting...
leave me be.
Yeah, if you're sitting down in like a cafe.
Yeah.
No one will
talk to
bother
you.
No one's going to bother you because everybody's just being like, I'm scared of everybody else.
Yeah.
Like we're like cats.
I would say France is like a country of cats.
Yeah. Whereas like Australians, they all just like, people just talk to you.
Yeah. And sometimes I missed it.
Yeah.
But sometimes I was like, this is nice. But I remember the service when you want help with something, calling people, I missed that. Like, because before I left, I had like a Velib, like the city bikes.
Yeah.
And I saw that I got charged like 100 or something and something euros. I was like, what? And I looked, and then apparently I hadn't clicked it in properly, but it was locked in the place.
Yeah.
Like it couldn't get taken out.
Yeah.
But it just didn't register. It was finished.
Oh my God.
And I called them and I was like, hey. And then she said, bet, we sent you this text and you didn't answer. And they sent me the text like midnight and I called the next day.
Yeah.
And then they're like, so you have to pay it. And I was like, but it's in the same spot I left it. It's obvious that it was just stuck. And she's like, it doesn't matter. That's the rule.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you people are crazy. Yeah. And then I remember the same week I had to call someone about changing a flight in Australia. And she's like, oh yeah, sure. I'll see what I can do for you. And I was like, I miss. This is what I miss.
So easy.
Like people just like want to help.
Yeah. Did you feel like when you were in France that they would be meaner to you because you were foreign?
The first time I was there, I felt
like you didn't speak
that
French?
because I didn't speak French very well.
Okay.
And I was learning. But even when I was trying to learn, that was actually the biggest hurdle when I lived there the first time. But I was also younger.
Okay,
so I wasn't as sure of myself.
Yeah.
I hadn't traveled a lot and lived overseas. And I would go in to try and speak French and they would switch to English.
Really?
And then I would not know what to do. And I couldn't even speak English because I'd just be so stressed. And then sometimes you speak in English and they speak back to you in French. And it's like they just don't want me to win. They're just trying to prove a point in their head about something.
Yeah, it's funny. Like it was funny because I've never had that.
Yeah.
Like I moved to France when I was 5. I speak French, so it's like I've never had that interaction where like I would speak French and then someone would speak English to me.
It is kind of like
weird.
It's like sometimes, and then I worked in a restaurant the whole time I was there the first time as a student.
Yeah.
And
which restaurant was that?
I worked in 2. So the first half of the year I worked in a British restaurant called L'Entente, which was because my French was so bad. I worked in the bar and it was like part of the shtick that I had a terrible accent.
Okay.
And then the second half of the year I had done the B2 and I was like doing my classes in French. And so I was better. And I worked at this place called Buvette.
Okay.
And then like a lot of times customers sometimes would switch to me in English and sometimes I could tell they wanted to practice their English and I was like, this is okay. I can tell they're having fun. They want to practice. Other times though, it was so condescending and it was kind of like this air of like, English is so easy. French is so difficult. It's just like the feeling and it used to really throw me off. But then in the end, I hated that I did this, but I started getting passive aggressive back. Like if they would switch to me in English, I would go, oh, okay. And then I'd speak really quick with an Australian accent and they wouldn't understand me.
Really?
And I'd be like, oh, sorry. I thought we were speaking in English.
Yeah. You turned the bogan a notch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so it's like, but it's these stupid little games that I feel like sometimes happens a lot more in Paris than we do.
Yeah.
That like type of passive aggression. There's all different types, but yeah, that kind of condescending. Because then I lived in Colombia as well after living in France.
In Colombia, okay.
In South America, and only for 4 months. And my Spanish was not as good as my French.
Okay.
But I guess people speak less English maybe there, but still. You speak a few words and they're still trying to like make an effort with you.
Oh, okay.
Being kind to you.
Yeah.
There was never the condescending change to English when you're trying to speak Spanish.
I see.
I found. And then it made me be like, yeah, I don't know that it's necessarily a world thing. It's specifically happens in Paris a lot more.
Yeah.
Which is stressful, but also maybe makes you good because like you get corrected all the time. And it's like, yeah, you have to get good.
You have to get good. Yeah. Okay. And where else have you traveled? So you've been to France, you've been to Colombia.
Yeah. I traveled a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I all through uni and a bit after.
What did you study at uni?
I did film production and law as a double.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I did a year of my law exchange in France. That's when I had done.
Sorbonne?
At Sciences Po.
Fancy.
I know. Well, I didn't know this. And every time I'd be like, Sciences Po, everyone's like, ooh la la.
Yeah. Well, especially for like, because I thought you got in masters? No,
it was just like, because in Australia you can do a double degree and you can do law. You don't have to do the undergrad and then law.
Yeah.
So you can do 5 or 6 year double degree.
Okay.
And but you end up doing most of your law subjects later. Yeah. So it kind of feels like it's postgrad. And so I did a year of that there.
Yeah.
Which was interesting because I was technically in my 4th year of uni, which is like essentially masters.
Okay.
But I was able to do any courses because it's all my exchange.
Okay.
You can just pick whatever.
Yeah.
As long as it's law related.
Yeah. But Sciences Po is really hard to get in.
Yeah.
Like after like lycée, high school, they have like an exam.
Yeah.
And they only select like a few people.
Yeah.
And also that's where like most politicians graduate.
I realized once I was there.
When you say Sciences Po, people are like, oh my God, Sciences Po. You? Really?
Yeah. What?
What the fuck?
I know. I could see. I actually had this time. I did some extra shifts in the restaurant this time living in France. And there was this Australian woman who was there and I started speaking English with her and I could tell at first she was like, and I was like, we're both Australian because she obviously lives there. Yeah. And then she was like, oh, so I had said I'd studied here. And she's like, oh, what did you study? And I said, I studied at Sciences Po. And she was like, and now you're working here. She said it in that tone. And I was like, oh, whatever. Cunt.
Oh, yeah, what a
like,
bitch.
Shut
and
up.
now you're working here.
Yeah, her tone. But then like the reminder of what the idea that Sciences Po has in Paris that I like forgotten about.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But maybe they have like this they pick a lot of international students.
Yeah. Well, my uni was hard to get into here too. So I think we had like a partnership that allowed the students to go either side. Because we have the same. We have an exam here that's like end of uni and then you get a mark out of 100 and then it dictates where you can get into.
Okay, I see. And what was it like meeting other Australians in Paris? Did you like it or were you just like, oh no, I wanted to get away from you?
Yeah. I kind of felt a bit more like that.
Okay.
The first time especially, but I ended up meeting 2 Australians and I think at first I was like, no Australians. And then as you stay there longer, it's like, it's kind of nice sometimes to just talk to an Australian.
Yeah.
And this time, I really only knew one Australian girl there this time through an acting class. And she had been there for like 5 years. And she had Polish parents. So she was very European minded already.
Okay, I see.
And then I met a few more in the end, but I used to avoid them.
Yeah.
For that reason of like, I don't need to.
Yeah, okay.
But then, when I met them this time, I was more chill.
Okay, that's okay.
It's okay. But it was funny working in the restaurant sometimes hearing Australians come in and just be like, oh, I don't miss that.
Yeah, I see.
The things that you understand more when you're like
yeah.
native. You understand every like nuance of what they're saying.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, like I'm at the period now. I've been 4 months in Australia.
Yeah.
where like I kind of miss speaking French, or I miss speaking to a French person. And every time I'm working at a festival, and so every time I hear like audience coming to a show and I hear little French accents, I'll immediately like talk to them.
Yeah.
And I kind of, so it's just nice little practice. I ask them where they're from, and they're like, "Oh, you spoke English to me." I was like, "Yeah," and I do the whole explain. But I kind of like that. But when I first came to Australia, I did not enjoy. I went to a French backpackers party.
Yeah.
And it just reminded me of like France and like everybody, especially when we were saying like they're like cats. They were just like that. Like each friend group was in their circle. No one was mixing. Or if they were mixing, it was outside, smoking cigarettes.
Yeah.
But when we were inside, it was all kind of like and then I was like, oh, I didn't like French parties. I went to a party recently, a house party, all Australians, and it was more inclusive. Like everybody was talking to everybody. It was more friendly.
It is true, actually. I had that. Any French parties I went to, I felt really like it was much more difficult.
Oh yeah.
To talk to people without knowing someone.
Exactly, yeah.
They
introducing you.
Tend to not.
Whereas this party, I only knew one guy, and I hardly spoke to him because I knocked on the door, and I was like, my first thing was like, is this where the party was? Is this a party at? And he was like, yeah, come on in. Like he didn't ask if who I was. He was like, okay, there's a party. That's good enough.
Yeah. Cool. I feel like that is different here. Although I do find that I understand they think that Australians and English speakers are fake because I feel like French people in general, they don't let you in straight away, but once they do, they mean it.
Yeah.
Like if they invited you to something, they think you're friends.
Cool, yeah.
Whereas we're like, let's get coffee to someone who we don't care about, and then you don't get coffee. And the same at a party where but we are just in general a bit more like chatty and open, which sometimes I miss. And I think it was the same when I was first in Paris again. I was like, oh, Australians don't want to talk to them.
Yeah.
And then as the year went on, towards the end, I was like, Australians or Kiwis. I was like, yay.
Yeah. That's nice. And have you ever been to the Café Oz in Paris?
Yeah. Not this time. When I lived there as a student, like people I worked with used to like to go there because they had cheap drinks on a certain time.
Yeah, exactly.
And like as trash bars, it turns into like a nightclub.
Oh, I spent many trash nights.
Many night in a Irish pub or a Café Oz in Paris because they always were the ones on like weeknights especially
that
open late with like pop dance music and everyone's just getting filthy.
Exactly.
And so it's fun. But it's stupid because the beers on tap there are like the shittest Australian beers and they're so expensive.
Oh, really?
Sometimes. I've always found like they have Two Is New, which is like the basic lager here. And it would be like €13 or something. And I was like, that is fucking ridiculous.
I don't remember the price just because I was probably so drunk that I'll just put my credit cards.
Yeah, just like
it could have been like 50. Yeah, whatever.
Just make so much
shots.
Money.
Yeah. But yeah, it is crazy. I enjoy. Café Oz. You're gonna spend a rough night or a rough morning if you're going to Café Oz.
What's the equivalent here? Have you been to anything
in Australia?
French here?
French here?
Yeah, like things that are French-ish here and had the same experience where it's like not like France.
Interesting. No, not
French
yet.
restaurants or bakeries.
The bakeries are weird.
Yeah.
Like I went to there's no like boulangerie.
Yeah.
Where you can just buy breads.
No. There's
like,
some. There's
maybe
the
a few.
odd French style, like, and there would be a French style bakery.
I went to one in where was it? Adelaide. It was called the Adelaide Bakery, and I was like, great, I'm gonna buy some breads. And I went there, and it was like a Asian bakery.
Yeah.
And they were selling Asian food, and I was like, "Oh, this is not a bakery." I was like, oh, "Okay." They sold like cinnamon buns and donuts, but there was no breads.
Yeah,
and I was just like, "Okay, I'll have to go to a Woolies or something like that." Yeah. I wanted like a proper, like a boule or baguette.
Yeah, it's just not really here. But we have like white slice bread.
Yeah, white slice. No,
we have good pies and like savory things, but it's kind of the UK. That's what I did miss sometimes. Is like.
That's what I've loved as well. Pies,
more savory.
Like I wish they had pies and sausage rolls in bakeries in France.
Yeah,
because you don't because it's all just sugary. Apart from like a sandwich or like a croque monsieur, a cold croque monsieur. There's no like sausage rolls or.
That's one thing I would miss sometimes is like when I just wanted something savory from a bakery. It's like you either get a baguette, or you get a croque, and sometimes the croque monsieurs there are like they're not the best.
No.
That's the one thing that they don't do well in those bakeries often.
Yeah. They're not the best, no. But sometimes they like, but some bakeries in Paris, they have like their own little restaurants area where you can like order a croque monsieur. They put it in the microwave for you.
Yeah, and you sit and
and
eat
you
it.
see it and eat it.
Yeah, which is fun.
Yeah.
I do find that in general, the French like sweet. Like same with breakfast things, often like a sweet spread.
Yeah.
Not as much like now brunch is coming in, but the way that we would cook or like sometimes have more savory things.
Yeah.
As like the snacks.
Yeah, I see.
Maybe.
But yeah, coming back to your question, like I haven't seen much French. Like there are like French restaurants that I've heard of. Like there's like we wanted to go to one yesterday for like little drinks. It's called like La Maison Bâtard.
Okay.
Here it's near Parliament, but it's like a very very fancy like restaurant rooftop place, and they were closed when we went in, but we looked like homeless people. Like everybody in there was like suited up, shirts, and I was in like a sweater. Someone was in cargo pants, and they probably looked at us and said, "No, we're not letting them in."
No.
But but yeah, no, I did in Adelaide. I met like there was like a French speaking group where it was like Australians. And they were around the table and they were speaking French. And they were like, oh, yeah, we're all Australians or we speak English, but we love France and we love the culture and we love the language and we have this little group. And I was like, oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
Like, I've never seen that in France.
I have.
Already? Like a German speaking group?
No, even like, yeah, I guess so. But I do think, firstly, like, everything that's French here is expensive.
Yeah, okay.
Like, it's considered like, like, oh yeah, this is
fancy
France, and like all the restaurants would be pricier, and even like bakeries that are French would be like even just in normal bakeries, some here I see like an almond croissant for like $8. I'm like, that's fucked up. I'm not buying that, and it looks worse. Than
oh
but
my god,
I've done those like French. I did it when I lived here in Melbourne last time, and I thought I was going to move back to France. I was like, I need to start speaking French again. And there's a place, they have Alliance Française here as well.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I went and they ran like a French speaking group with this French girl moderates.
Yeah.
And it's just like all old people and me.
Okay.
And we sat around and got like a pastry and spoke in French. It was so random. But I did that once when I first went to France when I was a student. I remember I did one day like that. A woman just through Meetup ran for like non-French speakers who were trying to improve French in Paris to meet at a cafe.
Okay, yeah.
And we all spoke in French. And same as like language exchange nights. I don't know if you've ever had to do any of those. There was one called Franglish when I moved to Paris the first time. And it was like in the 5th. And it was in this funny little bar.
Yeah.
And what you would do is you would speak it's like speed dating because you'd like sit across from people.
Okay.
You speak in French for 7 minutes and then you speak in English for 7 minutes, then you swap.
Okay. And this wasn't in France.
This was in Paris.
In Paris. Interesting. But I just find the concept because like, because that was the goal for like learning French, right? You know, getting practice in French. Yeah. But here in the one in Australia, they just wanted to speak French.
Yeah.
Whereas like you won't get like French people like, oh, we love English so much.
That's true. That we're
gonna speak English.
That's true.
Or like German, we love Spain or whatever language.
That's weird.
That we're gonna have this.
That's true. Oh, so they were just doing it.
Yeah, they were just speaking. Yeah, but I feel like Australia has. I don't know. You guys, I don't know. I don't know how to word it, but like, you guys know a lot about France. So like, there's a lot of Australians that come to France.
Yeah.
Do you learn French at school as well? No.
Maybe some posh schools. I think I didn't learn any language in school, which is so terrible.
Yeah.
But I would say maybe in like Adelaide and Melbourne, they're like cultural cities.
Okay.
People are a bit more concerned. Maybe you're just attracting it too. I feel like in general Australians know nothing about.
Yeah.
I guess like languages that people used to learn in schools probably were French and German.
Yeah, okay.
Just for historical. It doesn't make any sense that we would learn that because it's useless.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
For like Australian business. Now Asian languages are what Australians should be learning.
Yeah, exactly. Chinese.
Yeah, people should be learning Mandarin.
Yeah.
And Japanese or Indonesian.
Yeah.
But I think they do that in schools now. They were trying to encourage it for a while.
I think you should.
Because that's what we should be learning.
Yeah.
But, yeah. But yeah, I don't know that Australians. I feel like when I say I've lived in Paris, Australians are like not all, but in general, it's kind of like okay,
I feel like
you're
that
so
as well.
Fucking cool.
Yeah. I feel like that.
Yeah.
Where like I'm like, oh yeah, English, French, and they're like, oh, that's. And I joke about it being like, oh, it's like the two worst nationalities to have is English and French. But yeah,
it is what it is.
Yeah, I'm a pommy and a froggy.
Yeah,
but awesome. But yeah, I enjoy it. So you don't know what you're gonna do.
No, I don't.
Yeah,
I thought I was only coming back briefly, but I didn't have a visa, and now I do see how good it is to be in an English-speaking place for comedy,
really,
and acting.
Yeah,
just how much more you can do.
Yeah,
and the stretch room.
Well,
it's in Paris.
Yeah, well, in Paris it's like a niche if you do something English.
Yeah.
So, but you could you speak French? You could do it in French, maybe.
I kept signing up and I never got
really?
taken. And I was like, I don't know if this is a sign that I shouldn't be in France anymore, or
because I never really did stand up in French when I was in France. I should have. It's one of those things where it's like I was too scared to do it. Looking back at it, I should have done it. And I'm probably gonna do French comedy here in Australia because apparently there's a French comedy club in Sydney. And apparently they're not comedians, they're just people kind of like in Paris, people who just sign up and do like whatever 5-10 minutes.
Cool.
But apparently they're slowly trying to grow, like they want to do show in Melbourne and stuff like that. So I'm probably going to start doing.
I'll do the same.
Yeah.
Because I kept trying to I kept trying to, but then it just never lined up, and I was like, towards the end though, because the main thing I thought was like I should do it, just to say I've done it, or just to test myself because I know it's probably scary to me.
Yeah,
and I don't know. I was also considering when I was trying to think of what should I do. I'm like, should I play up an accent? Should I make my accent stronger because it makes it funny sometimes?
Yeah,
then you're not understood. I don't know. It's all these things of like, because an Australian in Paris is really different. They're used to Americans and Brits there, but they're not really used to Australians who speak French in Paris.
True that.
So I don't know.
What would like the reaction when you say you were Australian? Were they
they never really
Okay.
It's far away.
Yeah, that's far away.
Hi, des kangaroos.
Yeah.
That's always kangaroos or very far or big spiders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so funny. I haven't seen any kangaroos yet.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to get out of the cities.
Yeah, true that.
There's a lot of them out of the cities.
Perth, Australia. Perth, Adelaide, Melbourne.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to Sydney next. Couple of days.
When do you go to Sydney?
After the festival.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so the festival finishes on the 20th. And I think I'm going to spend like maybe 4 days in Sydney and then fly back to Perth.
Are you going to stay in Perth longer term?
Maybe 2. I want to stay in Melbourne.
Yeah.
Like I really like Melbourne. And so I think I might just go back just to see my sister. I think my sister and her boyfriend want to take me to a few places in Western Australia.
Cool.
Because they were like, oh, it's fun that you're traveling around Australia, but you're just doing cities.
Yeah.
I want to take you to the bush, to the outbacks and stuff like that. So I think they're going to take me there. But I think towards the end of the year, I want to move to Melbourne and start doing more comedy.
Yeah, it's a place to do it in Australia.
Yeah.
That's what I'm kind of thinking now. Now that I'm back here, I'm like, wait, I like Melbourne and it's a good place to keep making stuff.
Yeah.
And to keep performing and trying different things because there's quite a lot of people doing all kinds of sketch and absurd stuff here.
Yeah, I would like to see what Melbourne is like after the festival.
I think it'll have a lull probably, but
for sure.
Briefly, but it's still... I can't really vouch for how the alt comedy scene is, but it seems like it's always going.
Yes. And the show that I want to do next year is a little bit of clowning.
Yeah.
I think I really like the idea that I have.
Yeah.
And I really want to...
You should try it for the Fringe.
Yes.
Because it's not too far away and they haven't opened yet.
They haven't opened it? Okay, when did they open?
I think it's probably after the comedy festival. I think it's like April, May.
Okay. But like...
Because a lot of people tend to... I've noticed, they try their show first at Melbourne Fringe and then they take it Perth, Adelaide, Melbourne the next year.
Okay, yeah, I see.
Because the Fringe is a bit more like people are trying all kinds of stuff.
But is there like a clowning or alt comedy open mics here in?
Yeah, I actually the first week I got back.
Yeah,
I had reached out to a guy who was a friend of a guy I met in Paris.
Okay.
and he recommended me some places. And so there's one on Monday nights called Spelunken.
Spelunken. Is it at the Motley?
No.
You said,
So
okay.
it's actually at a place called Bard's Apothecary.
Okay.
I think that's right. And that was actually fun. It was the last week they were doing it because everything kind of stopped for the festival.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And that was funny. Everyone was just trying random characters.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I tested a French character here.
Because I feel like that's what I would need.
Yeah,
just to see if I like. Yeah.
And then at the Motley Bauhaus, they had an improv jam on Tuesdays and then a thing called script jam on Wednesdays, which is kind of similar. You're allowed to, people were trying out a lot of clowny stuff.
Yeah, okay.
So it's kind of like that night and the Monday night seem like the main two where people test stuff. And then it seems like there's the odd alt comedy kind of showcases on nights.
Okay, you'll have to give me the contact for this open mic clowning. And I want to see what it's like. Yeah. I'll go to a few shows. Yeah. And then
you should just prepare something and try it.
Yeah. That's what you suggest or advise, like prepare something. How long are the sets?
They gave us 8 minutes, which is quite a while. You didn't have to do it. You don't have to go that long.
Okay, yeah.
I think it was just like they kind of gauge how many people sign up and then they give us, I think there's like an hour, this was like an hour and a half, 2 hours of slot they have for the night. And then they decide what people can do. And you can get music played at different times. It's fun. Cool. They're all just like, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, I see.
Which is fun. So you can get them to cue stuff for you, which helps for clowning.
Yes.
That you can act out strange things. Yeah, so just like, what I tend to have done for those kind of things is prepare a little, but you can leave room to like play with the audience and improvise. But have things you can come to if things aren't working or you're stressed. Just like do.
Yeah. I'm too scared to like if something doesn't work, just bail. Just leave. I need to like fucking stay on stage and embrace the silence.
Yeah.
The cringe.
The flop.
The flop. Yeah, that's what they got it. The flop. Yeah.
Stay in the flop.
Because that's different when you do stand up, because like if a joke doesn't work, you just go to a joke that does work.
Exactly. You have
and
other
just
stuff
say it.
You can go
Whereas
to.
like I feel like in clowning, if they don't like you immediately, it's a lot harder. Maybe I'm wrong, obviously, but
we can keep changing, but you have to stay in whatever character you've decided on.
Yeah.
You can't really pull out of that.
Yeah.
You could, but it'd be strange. You're gonna have to stay in that world and try and make it work.
Yeah. I'll look. So the Melbourne Fringe.
Yeah.
It's in August. No,
October.
So that gives me what?
Like 6 months.
6 months.
It's quite a while.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's probably the best time to try something new.
Okay.
But then you finesse for the comedy festival.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. 6 months. I'll give that. That's going to be my challenge.
Yeah.
But yeah. And okay, so you do know, because I was thinking, like we could work together on a potential show. That'll be fun.
I think I plan on being around. I think I want to go to Edinburgh and ditch a bit of Australian winter for the Northern Hemisphere summer. Yeah. Considering I just stayed all winter.
Yeah.
But I think I'll probably have Melbourne as a base for the next period.
Okay.
Before I probably build up a bit more portfolio and different things.
Yeah.
And money before I go away again.
Yeah. There's a French, I don't know if you met, I forgot her name, but there's a comedian from Paris who's doing a show here in Melbourne. It's called Too Sexy for France.
Oh, I saw that poster.
I don't know what.
She's Australian though, right?
Yeah, she's Australian. I think she's from Brisbane.
She speaks French. Yeah.
And yeah, she lives in France. She speaks French. But yeah, she's doing a show at the Club Voltaire.
Oh yeah, that's where my show is tomorrow.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Club Voltaire.
And that's why I saw her poster.
Is it a nice venue?
Yeah, it's cool. It's a good venue.
Yeah.
It's got a good stage. It's got good lighting and sound. Although I went there today to test out the sound and I couldn't properly figure it out.
Oh really?
I'm teching, so I was like, I know.
It's probably something simple.
I think it's something like really simple.
Like the mute buttons on or something.
Yeah, it was working and then the speakers weren't working all of a sudden. And I was like, well, it was working before. And I figured out what the two mics and my computer could play sound from.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm sure it's going to be fixed by tomorrow. Yeah. Or someone who's there is going to know. Like, and there's a show on before me. So I'm like, they're going to have to
they fixed it. That's good. Yeah. Yeah. I worked the tech for a few shows. Yeah. And it's so funny how I don't know how to use like the boards.
The boards. I know, because shows I'd done it at before, it was just a simple plug in, play songs, press light. That was it. Whereas these boards, I'm like, I don't know what to touch.
Yeah, there's loads of knobs everywhere.
Yeah, and I was like, do all these matter? I can't tell.
Yeah. sometimes sometimes you do like get lucky. Like I
Yeah.
think yesterday it wasn't my show, but there was like a magic show, and one of the speakers was ringing, and every time he spoke, it was always just like it was unbearable to
Yeah.
hear, and you just turn a few knobs, and you're like, okay, that seems to be okay.
Wow.
And I just left hoping that
Yeah.
it doesn't do anything.
Wow.
But
hopefully the other performers also.
But I feel like but it's really good because even though I haven't been performing much during this festival,
Yeah.
I'm learning more the tech stuff, and I
Mm.
feel like that's part of knowing, like, when you're on stage, how to like
Yeah.
know what sounds good,
Yeah.
know
that's
what
true.
people like, how to get the thingy. Because in Paris, I always let other people do it.
Yeah.
But doing it myself, I think it's good to because eventually I would like to run my own show. I think.
Yeah.
It depends how much I get, how many spots I can get a week here in Melbourne.
Yeah.
But if I'm not getting enough spots, I'll just start my own show.
You should
I
just
think.
do it. I think it's the best way to
Yeah.
It's also the best way to make people know who you are.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I found in Paris is when I started doing that, more people would be like wanting me in their shows.
Really, yeah.
Because it's kind of like you're doing your own thing.
Yeah, exactly. And also, it's one of those things. It's like, oh, if you book me on my show,
Exactly.
Like if I book you on my show, you get book me on your show
Yeah.
or whatever like that. Yeah. I used to have a show with Artem called Romantic Comedy,
Okay.
but it was more like a duo show.
Yeah.
So we would do like a duo show, but we would always have like a special guest who would do like 10 minutes. But I want to do my own like showcase here, maybe here. Just also, I think it's good to like get to know the scene.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be also. I'm a bit worried being like, oh, people will see me as like, oh, who's this guy? And he's starting his own show. Yeah,
You have to do it.
Just do it.
Otherwise, they're still going to be like, who's this guy?
Exactly, yeah.
When you're at the open mics.
Yeah, true that.
So you got to
just put it now.
Yeah, because people will think that, but it's probably the people who aren't doing it themselves.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Because that's how you have to do it. You have to be annoying for a while, and then all of a sudden you're everywhere, and people are wanting you, and then you're like the person up there.
Yeah.
So the only way to get there is by
doing it.
Just doing it.
Yeah. Just having the balls.
And not caring what people are saying.
Yeah.
They'll talk regardless.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Yeah.
give them something good to talk about when you're putting on a good show.
Yeah. And also it's just like practice makes perfect, you know.
Just makes you better at everything.
Yeah, just don't make mistakes and you learn from it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when Terrence, Blastoff, when he was doing his first shows, it was great. It was just like any other show.
Yeah.
He used to do it at the Comedy Cafe. Have you been there? Were
Oh,
you there
yeah,
before?
yeah.
Like near Pigalle?
I did a British Bill. I don't know Billy.
Oh yeah, Billy. Yeah.
I did
with,
that night
Nicholas.
twice there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I ran that. I performed there. One night there was only like 6 people.
Oh, dude.
And he got us to just no mic, just them to sit in front of us.
Oh, really?
And it was actually okay. I kind of was like, I need to this is my chance to use my energy because I need to make sure this. It was kind of okay, but it was a weird experience.
Yeah, I remember that place is like, because I started comedy just after COVID and there weren't any venues or any English open mics, but Terrence finally found this place that would do open mics and it was just so cringe. It would just be comedians just after COVID. Yeah, it was tough, but it was fun. It was fun.
You have to start somewhere.
Yeah, and I also love the bar lady because she was so mean to everybody.
She is funny. It was the same. That description means it's the same bar lady.
Oh yeah,
she's
just
like
this really tall
French woman, and she didn't speak English, and we were doing English comedy, and she had. But afterwards, she was like, "Seemed like they liked you." I was like, "Thanks."
Yeah.
She couldn't understand what was going on.
She just hears the people laughing.
Yeah,
and that's it. And she's just so funny. Like she'll just be so mean to people. She would force them to buy drinks.
Yeah,
like you couldn't sit down if you didn't have a drink.
Yeah,
and she would like harass people, and people would be like, people would be kind of like shocked or scared before even the show began because they just got harassed by this lady, by this giant lady.
I know.
And the people were like, oh my God, and now we're supposed to laugh now?
Yeah. It was the same when I was there. And I remember I bought I wasn't really drinking and I got a Perrier and it was like €6. It was like, not even with the bottle, she poured it into a cup. I was like,
but I spoke to her once. She's very nice.
No, I spoke to her after the show. Yeah. And she was really nice.
Yeah.
And we all went to a bar actually and she bought me shots.
Really? No.
And I was like, And she was talking to me. She was actually really nice.
Yeah, she used to be a swimmer.
Really? That makes sense. She looks like athletic, like
I think
some form of sporty body.
Yeah, I think she used to be like in the national, like she used to compete nationally for swimming.
Interesting.
I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was fun. I miss the comedy scene in Paris.
Yeah.
Do you still contact people? Like, I don't know.
Not really. I guess I'm kind of across what some people are. I haven't really spoken a lot to different people there. But especially like, I keep meeting people though who know Andrew through clowning.
Oh, the clowning guy. Yeah.
Which is funny.
Interesting. Yeah, I remember he used to come to like open mics like 2 years ago. He used to play this character called Big Zeus. And he used to go on stage being like, I have this Big Zeus energy. And people really like it. And then I didn't see him. And then I see him again when Noah they are doing like workshop, clowning workshop. And also he works a lot with like Donna and Tamara on the late night show.
Yeah.
Have they asked you to do that?
No, I never did that.
Really?
But they're in our cabarets though, Noah and Andrew.
Okay.
They both times actually.
Mm.
And I did their comedy carton.
Yeah.
Carton.
What was that? What was that show? I've never been to any of those shows.
It was just like alt comedy.
Yeah, okay.
So it was all kinds of shit.
Yeah.
That was when I danced in a nappy. And it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I also saw Donna there, and one of the favorite things I had ever seen was like she kind of pretended she was this sick little British boy, and everyone had to laugh to keep her alive. And then at the end of the show, she came out and she's like, "Well, I'm gonna die, but I want to give you all a song." And then they played some sexy music, and she stripped, and she like awkward. It was like awkward stripping, but then underneath she had like these like bloody wounds with bandages, and she was just like sluttily grinding in like a bra and undies. And it was so funny.
Yeah.
Because those kind of clowny things, they can be so awkward unless there's just something that a person can pull it off.
Yeah. I mean, that's
something about them.
That's commitment.
It's commitment. It's real, because if you feel awkward, everyone feels awkward.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you're just going for it,
it's
funny.
I had to imitate Donna. You know, do you know Safia?
Yeah.
She used to do like these comedy swaps
where
you do like 5 minutes and then a comedian on the same lineup would have to imitate you. And I had to do Donna.
Oh my God.
And it went really well. It went well. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. She did a bit about cheese. I don't know if you
I've seen that bit.
Carrot, like râpé.
Raped cheese.
Raped cheese. And I just did that.
That is so funny, that bit. I saw her do it at Comedy Lab once.
Yeah.
And she really got into it.
Yeah.
Of like... There was actually a girl I worked with in Paris. She was French, and she said when her English wasn't very good when she was working in the restaurant. We had gaud râpé on the menu, and she was like, an American family was like, "Oh, what's this?" And she's like, "Oh, it's just like a normal carrot but raped," and didn't know what she was saying. And the whole family like stared at her like, "What?"
Yeah.
And then she asked her colleagues, and they were like, "No, that means
Yeah, they were probably thinking, "Oh my God,
wow, what are they doing with this
carrot?"
It's a horrible image.
Yeah, it is.
Have you found any food particularly disgusting in Australia? Or like, because it's all kind of similar to British too.
Yeah, pies, but those are good. But it depends.
Some are not.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like you probably get one pie.
Some sloppy, just like.
Yeah, the donuts are not as good as I hoped for.
Yeah, we don't really have many.
Really? I always see donuts everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
I always find
the only donuts I like are Donut King. It's like
Donut
a chain.
King.
They've good cinnamon donuts.
Yeah. Oh, really? Cinnamon donuts.
Yeah.
Nice.
Just like basic cinnamon donuts are great.
But what I do hate is at Woolies and Coles, the bakery area.
Yeah.
Just because of like the cookies, they look so good.
Yeah.
And the donuts. And so I always have to like walk past them.
Yeah.
And also like the chocolate aisle is just so big.
That's true.
The chocolate and sweets, I just like have to like.
Yeah. We have a lot of chocolate.
Yeah.
And the cookies are really good.
Exactly.
Coles and Woolies.
It's so good.
It's bad.
Yeah, they're just like perfect, like gooey. Like in Paris, like you can go to a bakery and get a cookie, but it's always like hit and miss.
Yeah,
like either it's too
just, like,
dry.
hard. Yeah.
But sometimes you can get a really good one.
There was a chain in Paris. I can't remember what it's called. There's one in the Marais, like, I don't know, but they had really good cookies. That was like their thing. And you could tell they were making them like they were in New York or something.
I love a good cookie.
Yeah.
They're good. Is it cutting out?
I think just briefly a little.
Oh, interesting. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I enjoy it.
What do you miss most
About
from
France?
France? Yeah.
What I miss most was that I was very comfortable there. But maybe that was the bad thing because I was also very lazy. But just having like my little nooks.
Yeah.
You know, just like my little areas that I would go to. Like if I know like if I went to Comedy Lab or like Au Chat Noir, I might see someone that
Yeah,
I
you know
know. You
people.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was a good vibe. Or but it's just something like if I stay in one place like Melbourne,
Yeah.
I'll find those people.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? What else do I miss? I don't know. Cycling.
Yeah.
I used to cycle a lot back in Paris.
Me too. I need to get a bike here. Melbourne's the only good cycle city here, to be honest.
I've noticed because I cycled a little bit in Perth and I was scared. Especially they drive like really big cars and it's like, oh, you don't care about my safety. Whereas I feel like in France, they're very like, if there's somebody cycling or like even like like, you know, if you're crossing the road, like they will stop. Here, I don't know if they're going to stop or not.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I think cycling, Melbourne's the only, because it has more bike lanes and it's a grid and it's flat.
Yeah, okay. Is it flat? Okay.
Like it's pretty flat here.
Okay.
Sydney is not. Sydney has like no bike lanes.
No, okay.
It's very hilly.
Okay.
And the streets are not a grid at all.
Yeah.
Navigating Sydney is a lot more chaotic.
Yes.
That's what I found when I lived in Melbourne. I was like, cool, and I need to get a bike again because I've actually just been using Lime bikes and I keep being like, I'm going to buy one. Yeah, by now I'm like, I could have just bought one with the money I spent on Lime bikes.
Yeah.
But
go on like Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah, I need to go on Marketplace and just get one this week.
Just get one. In France, in Paris, you can easily just get one.
I remember used to have Vélib all the time.
Yeah, I've never used the Vélib.
Yeah,
just because I had my own bike.
Yeah.
But I just love like it's just, especially in Paris, it's like it's the best way to travel in my opinion. But like Paris is so small and concentrated. Yeah. You can easily get to a place in like 10 minutes.
And it's so easy to get around.
Yeah.
As long as you live in North.
Yeah.
Or as long as you're just staying in that area. I think that's where I spent most of my time was like North, East quadrant.
Northeast?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. That's quite hilly.
Yeah, well, I lived up in Jourdain, so I was like...
Oh, yeah, exactly.
That is the top of the hill.
Yeah, because I used to live near Telegraph. It's on the line 11 as well, a little bit further up. And I had to cycle every day because I was working.
I always had the electric bikes though, so I was like...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you just...
I didn't go up. I never would go up actual Belleville Road.
Yeah.
I'd always go up the back ones where you just like...
Yeah. See. Yeah, did you like did you move around a lot in Paris or?
The first time when I lived there, I lived in Alésia, which is like in the 14th.
Okay.
Which is not good, but it was just on the line to Sciences Po, so I was like, I had no idea what I was doing. I took it. And then I kind of knew when I went back, I was like, I know where I wanted to live.
Yeah,
I want to live north. I want to live like 11th, 12th, 20th.
Yeah.
And then my friend, I was so lucky, a friend I had who was still living there, she went traveling. She got chômage and she went traveling for she was thinking just a few months. And so it lined up that she left the day before I arrived. Yeah. She had a cat. So I subletted her apartment in Jourdain.
Yeah.
And then she just ended up staying away the whole year. I went traveling, so I actually had to give it up for a few months. And then for 2 months, I subletted another friend's place in Montreuil.
Okay.
And which is actually nice.
Is it?
Okay. It's nice. It's a little further out for cycling.
Yeah.
That would frustrate me because I didn't like taking the trains. There was train lines. I would still cycle everywhere. And it... Wow.
Okay.
Paris, Paris gunks in my throat. But it was right near Vincennes and it was kind of cute. The area I was in kind of felt like a village.
Okay, nice.
But then I got to go back to Jourdain and I liked that.
Okay.
It's just I got lucky. I was just and both places had cats that I just took care of for cheaper rent.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
I was like a traveling cat dad.
Really?
And it was kind of nice.
How did you find these places?
Just friends.
Oh, friends. Okay.
And it always lined up. I was really lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I lived quite a lot. I moved around a lot in Paris. I was lucky the first time, unlucky the second time. Just the tenant was an arsehole. He kicked us out.
Oh.
Yeah. And but yeah, then afterwards I stayed mostly with friends just because I was moving to Australia and so I was just like, I'm not gonna look for a new place. Yeah. And there's a few comedians that had extra spare rooms, so I stayed with them.
Nice.
But yeah, I like Paris. I was living. Mostly I lived in the 19th, 18th,
Yeah.
and then I lived in Bastille.
Oh,
That was good.
that's cool.
Yeah. When you live in like the center area, it's just so easy.
Yeah.
Very.
Yeah, even from Jordan wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
To get.
Just
That's
downhill.
cool. Yeah.
But I think I will go back to Paris.
Because how long did you live there?
5 years.
5 years.
Yeah, I went there for my studies.
Yeah.
And then, I just liked it.
Yeah.
It's one of these cities where it's like, I hated it at first just because it's so big, so chaotic. You know, the metros. But then you start liking it, and then you are like, I'm a Parisian now. When you've lived after a year.
I know, I love it.
Yeah.
I definitely somewhere I could see myself living always, but I think I have thought now being here, I'm like, oh, career wise, I don't know.
Yeah.
Unless I got work, like, because I just couldn't go there and just like, because my other options would have to be like a weird student visa or something, and I'm just like, I'm not scrapping.
Yeah.
I just want like either the creative talent visa, which you need like some form of contracts offered, or something else.
I feel like because I feel like most Australians, they go to England.
Yeah.
Because they say that there's nothing here.
Yeah.
Or if there is something here, it's not as big.
Yeah.
Because I just originally, because the population of Australia is pretty small.
No, it's tiny. It's 25 million in a huge country.
Whereas in France, it's like 65.
No, you really have to, if you want to take it to the next level, you have to leave Australia.
Yeah.
Which I will. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah.
I was thinking, I went to London and I was like, I
really?
don't know. I just, especially after living in Paris, I'm like, London's culturally not too, like, the UK is not culturally different enough from Australia.
Yeah.
First of all. It's just like grayer and a bit sadder.
Yeah.
No offense. And then, then it's kind of, and then it's similar to Paris, but Paris is just like way prettier. It's just different.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, it doesn't have enough difference, and it's kind of just like worse version of Paris and Australia.
Yeah, I see.
Like the elements, but the comedy and the acting and the theater is huge, and we can get a visa so easily.
Yeah, I see.
But I was like, should I? That was my original plan, was like, come back here, get that visa, and then I can just pop to Paris when I want to do work and stuff.
Okay, yeah, I see.
And visit it.
Because I was thinking, when I go back, if I after a few years living here, go back to France, I would just tour around Europe doing English comedy, like go to London, go to Ireland, Germany, and do that.
It's true.
But I don't know. Yeah.
I just know, like, I need to look into it a bit more of like the legality of me. If I was if I was residing in France with a proper visa, I don't know if I'm allowed to work in other European countries.
Oh, really?
And the UK.
Yeah.
That's why I was like, I don't know.
Yeah. I'm new to like this visa game as well. Because I never had to like apply for anything. I had like first few years of living in France, I didn't have to anything because England was part of the EU. Yeah. And then once Brexit happened, I got a titre de séjour. That was weird.
Nice.
That's when I felt like, oh, I'm a foreigner.
Yeah. That's strange because
And then afterwards, I got my French nationality a year later.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fun. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's another guy. Have you seen Jeremiah Detto?
Yeah, that's who actually my friend knew, who told me about these clowny nights.
Yeah.
He had lived there.
Interesting.
Had he? In Paris? Well, he must have done the clowning.
Probably did the
I think
clowning.
it's the clowning that he knew these people from.
I feel like every Australian that's in the clowning has gone to Gaulier or Lecoq or something like that.
I know all of them.
Yeah.
It's really strange. Even when I was there and at the alt comedy night, I met Australians who were doing it. And I'm like, why is it such a big thing with Australians?
Yeah.
It is, though, it seems.
Yeah. It is interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I was... Yeah, do you know Kurt as well? Kurt
Sterling? Yeah, I met him.
He was that good.
He's going now, yeah.
Yeah.
We first just went there I'm actually thinking of this year, they have the 1 month thing.
Oh,
in July. And I was considering it.
Luke from Comedy Lab, he was thinking about doing it as well.
I think he should, because he was loving their workshops.
Yeah.
And I found it funny. Sometimes he was trying some of the stuff with the open mics and it was not landing because it was really dark.
Yeah.
Like his version of the clowny stuff was really dark sometimes.
Yeah.
And I found it like hilarious. But sometimes the crowd was like, this is severe.
He would tell us stories like of him doing something dark at clowning. Like he told us a story about how they had to like there was two people fighting and they had to kill each other.
I think he told me this and he like choked and spat on her
and so
or something.
everybody was doing swords, bow and arrow, lances, whatever, shooting, and him and this girl were like, let's go for the strangle. And he was he started like not strangling, like pretend strangling her and like hitting her head on the floor.
Yeah.
Spitting at her.
Yeah, I think he said that at his open mic.
Yeah.
He told that story as if it was a joke.
Yeah.
And the crowd was kind of like, but I found funny.
But I saw him do talking about it on stage at a showcase and it killed. But it was one of these things where like I was laughing so hard as well.
Yeah.
It was just so funny.
It is funny. I feel like he'd be good to do it.
Yeah.
I think he would benefit.
Yeah.
To find that dark humor that people can relate with.
Yeah, exactly. I just loved it. Yeah. Fucking hell.
Because it's true. I can't remember how he said it, but I was just like, it's true. I don't know. Everybody's like, oh, I kill you. But that's how you actually kill someone.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's more real. And it's like people don't want to confront that of like.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's something in us that we can capable of, which is what clowning can sometimes do is like those darker bits of humans.
And also Luke has that kind of look where it's like, he does look like someone who would.
He could do it.
Yeah.
It's true. Which is why I think it divides the audience.
Yeah.
Because some of the audience is like, whoa, is he being serious?
Yeah,
Is he actually is he killing people?
Yeah.
And which you can play with.
Yeah, you can. You can play with like that dark kind of. But I
if
feel
like a way.
If I did it, it would be more like, or like people wouldn't believe it, you know?
I think same.
Yeah.
People be like, oh.
Yeah, people be like, oh.
Yeah.
Either they won't believe it, like they don't see it and they don't laugh, or it's like, oh, like you're trying to be.
That's cute. Yeah.
Cute.
Yeah.
Trying to be mean. Yeah. Was there anybody in Paris that you really liked that you always enjoyed seeing?
Watching? I really always enjoyed Noah and Andrew.
Yeah.
Just they're so good with a crowd. They never once when I saw them.
Yeah.
Not necessarily like stand-up environment, but doing the clowny stuff.
Yeah, okay.
Always kind of just like got ridiculous levels of laughter from the audience. And because it's always different, I guess. But in terms of stand-up.
But afterwards, if you never, you don't really like stand-up, so it's less like.
But I do. I do.
Tamara's very funny.
She's very funny, actually. Yeah, I used to love, because, and then they started doing these queer nights and we would always be together. Yeah. I used to find her and her stage presence really funny. She
has this joke, I love it. It's like her inner voice is Hulk Logan. That's her inner voice.
That's funny.
I was just like, oh, that's so funny.
Yeah, I liked her, like, she would put in some, like, funny, bizarre things in. I actually liked Luke's too. I think I always missed that because he had, like, good British, like, a bit, like, drier things that not always the European crowd wasn't always getting, just from, like, a language perspective sometimes, I think. And I would always find it really funny.
Yeah.
I always appreciated it because I feel like no one else was really doing that.
Yeah, I see.
To what he was doing.
Yeah.
So I think those two really, yeah.
Yeah. I really like the scene.
Yeah.
Like, it's
very, because it was smaller, it's like easier once you're in, you just get to, you meet so many people.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool too that that's just happening in the underground of Paris.
It is cool.
All of these strange English stand-up nights.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a funny little world.
It is funny, yeah.
Yeah.
And afterwards, I hear a lot of people that would say it was like toxic and stuff like that. But I feel like it's like that in it's like that in every scene.
I think it's less competitive, to be honest, than
that's why
like
I said.
London. When I only did 2 weeks trying different places in London, but I could feel it was just there's more people doing it.
Yeah.
And the feeling of like.
Yeah. But there always like there'll always be some people that complain that like, oh, I don't get booked enough, stuff like that, and it's just like, well, be funny.
Yeah, you're not funny.
Yeah, that's it.
Maybe.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is funny. It is like this comedy in its form is just hilarious that we're just trying to make people laugh.
It's a funny. I would always think that like this is so silly. All these people come in and they just watch one person get up and try to tell funny things in the hope that you're gonna laugh.
Yeah.
I had that sometimes at Comedy Lab because there's that mirror.
Oh yeah, right in front.
And sometimes if you walk the wrong way, you see yourself on stage with the microphone, and it's really kind of like confronting. I'm like, oh, I can't pay attention to that. Like, no. Just don't be conscious of how you're looking right now because you really shouldn't be aware of that.
it's the worst placed mirror.
It
for
is so
content.
stupid because it
It's
shocks you too. I always knew it was there, and I always would get shocked when I stepped too far the wrong way.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, there I am. And you can't say it because the crowd can't see it, so it sounds stupid when you like
Yeah.
say something. I've seen people be like, oh, there's a mirror, and people are like, what does that have to do with anything?
Yeah.
Because it's almost you have your own mini existential crisis that no one understands.
Yeah, I'll just avoid, like I
It's
didn't.
like out of body.
Yeah, I just didn't look at it.
Yeah.
Or maybe I looked at it first, and it's like.
Yeah. Yeah. Not a good spot.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is there anything you want to?
No, I don't
say?
know. So you haven't done any comedy since you've been here?
So yeah, I did. I did a gong show
Okay.
back in Perth.
How's that?
Hated it. I got gonged off after minutes.
Yeah, you know what? We
You
don't need
know-
to do gong shows.
Well, to the point where it's like, yeah, exactly. I don't know if I but
There's just
I
no
don't
point.
know.
I kind
there
of.
is no point. But it's also
But it's something inside of us that's like, I want to prove I can beat it.
yeah,
But it's
kind
like,
of.
why? I think I had that. I've done 2 of them.
And also it's like I don't necessarily like those kind of jokes as well because
No.
it's always you just have to be like either dark or shocking.
Yeah. Again and again and again
And again, yeah,
Otherwise, they gong you off.
exactly.
You can't build to anything.
Exactly. And I feel like I'm more I don't know. I don't know what my
It's
style
stressful,
is,
but it's not that.
yeah. It's not that. And so I did that show, and I did a few shows in. So do you know Oddie Horn?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he has this show called Five Headliners, and I would do the tech and the show
Oh.
running. But sometimes on a good show, he would let me on.
Oh, cool.
And
He was
he'd-
doing that in Perth.
He was doing that in Perth and Adelaide,
Oh.
and so he would let me on, and so I'll do 5 minutes here and there. And also, I used to do his show called Comedy Brunch, which was a 11 a.m. show, and it was yeah, I would do like 10 minutes, but it's
Wow.
like 11 a.m. So it was
Bit
like it was either like old people, it was like numbers. There was like always like 5 or 7 people, and it would always be like families or old people,
funny.
and you're just kind of like okay. And it was fun. It was, I
Yeah.
got to work a little bit of jokes.
Yeah.
But here at the Melbourne, I haven't performed yet.
Yeah, there's nothing really open right now. Like it's all just.
Yeah, I might have a show. I might have a gong show. I said I'm not going to do any gong shows. I'm going to have one maybe this Friday and maybe next Tuesday.
Wow.
We'll see.
Both gong shows.
No, one of them is a gong show. The other one is just regular stand up, I think.
Cool.
But yeah, I'm. That's another thing. I'm just gonna wait until the festivals are over.
Yeah. I think that's
And then
the
start.
best thing to do.
Yeah, because I've made a lot of contacts with people, but I feel like everybody's like they're doing their own show,
Yeah.
and also they want to get on other shows.
Yeah.
All the spots are being booked.
Yeah.
But also, I'm here to travel as well.
Yeah.
So that's another thing why I went to Australia was just like I want to travel, I want to see more of the world.
Yeah.
So if like I'm not gonna do if I do less stand up, at least I'm traveling a little bit more.
It's okay. And life experience gives you better material.
Exactly, that's what I'm hoping for
It does.
as well.
Gives you better perspective and better
Yes.
material.
Yeah,
So it's kind of good to have the break.
exactly. I'm planning on going to Indonesia.
Cool.
That's why I want to say I'm saving money to go to Indonesia.
Yeah. When do
Yeah.
you want to do that?
When? Towards the end of the year,
Okay.
sometime.
Yeah.
There's a mountain that I want to climb.
Cool.
Yeah, my sister did it, so as a fucking challenge to myself, I'm
You
like,
have
I
to do
wanna
it
I have
too.
to do it too. My sister did it.
Wow.
I'm like,
I've only been to Bali in Indonesia.
yeah, all Australians have been
I
to Bali.
know.
I want to go there as well just to see.
Yeah.
Is it good? Was it?
It's
Yeah.
all right. I went there. It was the first time I went overseas. I was like 20 and I did an internship there.
Interesting,
for a month
Bali.
of travel writing. It was like
Yeah.
a weird program where they accepted. There's like 20 of us living in a big villa, and we
Mhm.
would do writing stuff and workshops Monday to Thursday, and then we had bikes, and we could go driving around the island for the
Yeah.
rest of the 3 days. It's like the Big Brother house. Honestly, it was like
Really?
ridiculous.
Yeah.
It was so funny, but. So we were kind of out of the main bit, but we still went to a lot of places.
Mm.
I don't know. But that was 10 years ago too, almost like 9 years ago. So I imagine it's got even more
Yeah.
full of Australians, but even then it was.
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny.
Mm.
It's just like
I was
in the
just-
resort areas, like not everywhere. I imagine it's kind of like Malaga is for
Yeah.
British people.
It is. Yeah, I see. Yeah, Malaga, maybe Ibiza, maybe.
Yeah, no, Ibiza, yeah.
Yeah, those kind of areas. Yeah, it's just funny how like my knowledge of the world is through comedy,
Yeah.
which is not the best because we
Yeah.
just joke about stereotypes and stuff like that. So like I know Australians love going to Bali just because I hear so many comedians talk about
it.
how Australians go to Bali and they act
Yeah.
like idiots and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
True.
Yeah, I don't know.
But it's true. That's funny.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting how like yeah, I was just thinking about that.
Your
How,
life gets formed from
yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I want to go to Bali. But yeah, I want to. Yeah, have you been to New Zealand?
Yeah, it's so pretty.
Really?
Yeah. I'd recommend it.
I want to go.
Yeah, it's really nice. And it's so easy to do a road trip around because it's smaller and you can see so much.
Yeah. Are you
Yeah.
like a Lord of the Rings fan?
No.
Okay. Oh, good.
Yeah. So I didn't see
Because
any
I
of
feel
that.
like everybody that watches Lord of the Rings was like, oh, go to.
Yeah. New Zealand. No, I didn't even see the North Island or any of that. But actually, after COVID, I went traveling.
Yeah.
And then at the end, I didn't want to go back to Australia, but I needed money. And I went to New Zealand and I worked in a hotel for a month.
Okay.
In Queenstown. And then I traveled around afterwards.
Yeah,
and
you've
it was
done
really
a lot
cool.
of things.
I've done a lot of things.
I kind of like that.
Moved around a lot.
It's always cool when you talk to somebody that's done a lot of things because like I've also talked to people who've been like lawyers all their lives, like copyright lawyers, and you're just like, oh really?
I know. I was a lawyer for
so
2 years.
Yeah.
And I think that's what towards the end of it, I saw my bosses and I'd already done a lot of different things before I did it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want to be you.
Yeah, exactly.
They're just like waiting to retire to do things.
Exactly. I worked in a bank as well.
Before that.
I worked in a bank as well. And I was like, there was this old guy working in front of me. I was like, oh, that's my future.
Yeah, it's good to see that and recognize it. Because
Yeah.
it's true. They always say, look
It's
up.
the
Do you want to be that person?
Yeah, it's the comedy lab mirror.
Yeah, it is.
It's like, oh
It's
my
like,
God.
I don't look very good there.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
it's just like the same job for like 30 years, just waiting to get retirement.
I know.
It's always funny going into the arts because you kind of like, you want to avoid that.
Yeah. And some people
also
are scared of it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's both extremes where you are scared of changing it so you stay with something forever, but then you're also scared to settle into something so you do like 1,000 things forever, being like, I'm not going to get trapped.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was like that a little when I've been both of those, and I feel like now I found balance of like, I'm not trapped if I stay somewhere a little longer, which is how I used to be, which is why I've done so many things, is I used to be like,
I
move.
Yeah, I felt like that a little bit. Yeah. Just like, with the internship, like they offered me like to renew my contract, and I was like, oh, do that. Are you like, do you come from like an artistic background, like a family, anybody,
No. So
Interesting.
that's why I think I didn't get into it straight away, because I actually grew up to a single mother. I was an only child, and they're all just, it's like working class, smaller town, and most of my uncles do trades. And my mum actually went to uni as an adult, like when I was 8, to become a teacher.
Okay.
And so that was impressive because that was really hard.
Yeah.
But no one's creative or artistic.
Interesting.
And so, I mean, my mum is good at creative things, but no one's ever like pursued a creative path.
Interesting.
And so, actually my mum was really encouraging always, even that we didn't have money, but like to like do what I want.
Yeah.
And it was kind of me who was like, I don't want to be poor. I'm getting out of this cycle. I'm going to do law, and I'm going to get rich, and I'm going to leave this fucking little town, and I'm going to be fucking megastar. Oh, like not a megastar, rich. I'm going to be rich.
I see. Well, I was a bit like that because I'm a bit different. Both my parents are artists. They're both painters.
Yeah.
And like my dad, and so I grew up, and my dad was pretty kind of successful back in England, and then they moved to France, and they were hoping that, it would translate, like he would be able to sell paintings here in France, and it just didn't work for him. And so he worked in a mechanic for a very long time. And I saw my parents, like they were like struggling artists. And I was like, I do not want to be an artist. Like the arts are, I want to be a finance guy.
Yeah.
I want to earn money. I want to be rich.
Yeah.
There's no point in following your passion if you have no money to do it or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I studied finance. I was pretty good at it because I was good at maths and I liked economics. But or during COVID, I hated it. I don't
Yeah.
know why. And then I discovered comedy, and I enjoyed making people laugh. And I was like, oh, this is what I enjoy.
Yeah.
Is making people laugh.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I think I had the same, just like the similar of like, I always liked writing.
Yeah.
And I liked writing. And when I was younger, I liked dance and creative stuff. And then I let all that go when I was a teenager. Too, because where I grew up, I was like, it's gay. I'm going to look gay.
Really?
And I let go of it all.
Yeah.
And then still studied film, but then worked in law. And then that was kind of when I was like, I've let go of all my film ideas.
Yeah. Okay.
And
do you still do like a little bit of film?
Well,
I
yeah.
did like write scripts, or when you do
Now
the
I do.
videos.
Yeah.
Of, like,
now I came back to it, and then I did law for 2 years, and then I actually quit in like a panic when Australia opened again, because Australia was locked down.
Yeah, I see.
And we weren't allowed to leave. And when it opened up, I was like, I need to go back overseas. And then I decided to do the Camino, like this walk in Spain.
Yeah, okay.
That's like a month and a half, and I did that.
Yeah.
And then I volunteered at a meditation center for a month afterwards, and I worked in New Zealand for a month.
Yeah.
And that whole period really helped me to clear out a lot of crap and to be like, remember what I actually want to do.
Yeah.
And then since then, I worked in sales again after that, but it was for a magazine, like Time Out, this magazine.
Okay, yeah.
Here.
Yeah, you told me, yeah.
And I was representing the arts and culture. And so I was seeing a lot of stuff, and I was like, why am I not doing the performing?
Yeah.
Which is what I always wanted to do. I think also why I studied film is I like writing scripts.
Yeah.
But I also always wanted to like act.
You
and
see
perform.
yourself in it, yeah.
Yeah. And I never had the courage to do it properly.
Yeah.
I'd always do the bits, like I did improv on the side, or I tried stand up here and there, but I never just went for it. And so I quit that job, and I was like, I'm just going to go for it, and I'm going to make it happen. Yeah. And whatever I have to do for money in the meantime, I'll do. And so that's been like a year and a half, approaching 2 years.
Okay.
And so since then, I allow myself to write a lot of scripts that I had bubbling in my head. And I've done stand up a lot more seriously.
Yeah.
I've done acting training more seriously. And then I made 2 short films in Paris, one that we're editing now.
Okay. And have you released the
first one's out. It's the one for the Nikon Festival, which is called Escargot.
Yeah.
And it was just like a stupid clowny.
Where can we find that?
It's on YouTube.
YouTube, okay.
Yeah. And it's just called Escargot, A Parisian Love Story. And it's clowny. We made a silent film, so we didn't have to use... We did it. It was me and my friend who were making cabaret shows, and in line with our first cabaret, we were like, let's use this momentum and let's make a short film.
Is it the silent films where like you mouth the words and then afterwards it cuts to like what it's saying?
Kind of. In parts, it was like at the end we captured 2 lines, but the rest of it was just like, essentially the story was me cycling. My character, you don't know what's happening, but he's cycling around Paris, and he keeps getting like led places by like mysterious hands.
Oh, okay.
Who's like, it's almost like they're a third party directing him. And you don't know why. And in the end, it's just because, well, it's a spoiler.
Okay. All right.
People are going to go watch this.
I don't know.
Go watch it. Go watch it.
Yeah.
But it's just like clowny. The actual moment is like the character I was playing, just clowny things that happens on a bike.
Yeah.
And then there was a moment with dialogue that we use like subtitles, but it's like funny subtitles to an interaction with this French woman on the street. And that was a lot of fun because it was the first time it was kind of the same with acting. I was auditioning for things, I was looking at things. Yeah. And I was like, I don't find any of this fun or funny. So I don't even know why I'm trying to package myself up to be like this calm, chill boy next door. Like the whole reason I like comedy and writing is because I like creating these like ridiculous, over the top, absurd things.
Yeah, okay.
And so I was like, let's just make that.
Yeah.
And so that's what we did in that one. And then we made another short film that I had been writing that's actually part of a series I was writing.
Okay.
And it took one of the episodes and then turned it into a short film.
Yeah.
And that was like 24 minutes, and that's what we're working on editing now.
Awesome.
Which I'm excited for because it shows off like I was the lead actor and writing.
Yeah.
And like the series idea. So it was kind of like shows off all of a good portfolio.
That's amazing. Like I'm currently writing a script for a short movie now. Yeah. And I don't know. It's like I don't know. I'd like to make it, produce it, and make it just to have like I've done this. Like I wrote it. Yeah. And
yes.
Oh yeah.
I guess so.
Oh yeah, we're gonna go. Yeah, we're finished now. 2. Yeah. Yeah. The time has just gone by. Sorry, I apologize. Oh, I don't mind paying.
Yeah, but this should be like other use for other person.
Okay, yeah. We weren't aware of the time.
Yeah, we will.